a man, barrister Prince Williams Joel, a man who decided to educate Nigerians by putting together 3 different books. Now, each of the books, one very amazing one, talks about understanding your rights as a tenant or a landlord. So many people have issues on a daily basis with their landlords, with their tenants, and they are dealing with this on a daily basis. They are finding it extremely difficult to, communicate. Some don't have the money to go to court. Others have found themselves dealing with this issue from time to time, and then they just leave their money there or they simply move on. Some, it's not even the landlord that is harassing the tenant. It is the tenant that is harassing the landlord. And then the landlord will just say, you know what, just finish this, your money, and just go. And then the tenant will refuse to go. But at the end of the day, there is a way everyone can be educated about what is your right as both a landlord or a tenant. There's so many things that you can look at if you pick up any of these books and read them. It talked about, different articles that talks about property, understanding real estate, and then doing your due diligence if you want to go into real estate. There's so many foreign firms moving all around the country, selling all kinds of property, some on paper, some that are real. Well, how do you do your due diligence to ensure that you buy the right property at all times? These are some of the discussions that took place at the book launch. We took place at a hotel and suites last week, and we were there. We want to share a bit of snippet of that event with you. I will be back right after.
We are used to this system. So for instance, somebody living in Banana Island who is paying maybe 12 million naira a year, it means he has to bring 1 million naira every month. At some point, you will discover or agree with me that the money doesn't come like that every month, except you are a worker who is working in a well-organized firm like the oil industry, where your rent is already being taken care of. So there should be some regulations, some guidelines to guide the industry in order not to spill over.
The question still remains, was there a written agreement? If yes, what section of this, or clause of this agreement, spell out these bogus locations? And what happens if landlord suddenly leave any notice to leave the apartment? If such is not written, the tenant is at his own risk, doing all of that at his own risk. Okay? And I have an example to back up the agreement. Recently, we entered into a lease agreement with the property in Port Harcourt. And the landlord cleverly put in the agreement that the tenant should insure the house. In case of any damage, the insurance will cover, otherwise, the tenant will have to restore the property back to the original form. I read it and I felt that I didn't need to consult a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I knew that it's not right. It took like 2 or 3 weeks back and forth mail before the landlord. I now changed it that the landlord should insure this house, since the house they want to build for the tenant can actually after payment. Unfortunately, they can be made. Eventually, the landlord said, okay, I've removed the insurance clause altogether. Nobody insuring for anybody. So it's very nice for us to look at the agreement. And as I mentioned earlier, the book has really simplified. Whether somebody is going to miss out of not reading the book, or depends on one of our guys mentioned earlier, that either a tenant or a landlord. And this is a book that addressed both parties. And in recent times, we did a lot of people losing their money to one funny investing scheme or the other.
When it comes to building on charities, it's a serious problem in Lagos State. And we have an agency in charge of regulations and generations of charities in Lagos State. Let me say slums in Lagos State. it is very important to know that Lagos State Government, this ministry of agencies will not allow such development. But we know the kind of environment which we have, whereby people take law into their hands and build houses without building permits, and some other things. It is the government is looking at it suddenly an agent with that responsibility to come up with a plan of generating rundown areas. And I know very soon the agency will spring into action.
The problem here is knowing your right, knowing that you have a particular right. The same way, if you look at some of the things written in this book, in fact, the laws are clearly stated in the books, and we are also told, for instance, you're a tenant, and you have an agreement with your landlord. You need to read the agreement, tenancy agreement before you sign. Because when you don't do that, and anything happens in the long run, the landlord may refer you to the agreement you never read. And ignorance of the law is not an excuse in no way. So you must, and also, landlords also make errors. When they get a tenant, they don't give them agreement. And now the problem is here. When a landlord, when there is no agreement, you find out that the law takes towards more to the tenant. Because there is no such written agreement, even if the law allows the oral one. Yes, it doesn't matter whether there is a black or white written agreement or not. It doesn't mean that there is no tenancy. But then when there are issues tomorrow, the question will rise whether these things are stated black or white. So the law protects both of them, and also both of them, if they don't know their rights, they may also be on the losing side.
If the landlord understands his boundaries, that for him to evict his tenant from the property, he needs to serve the tenant the statutory notices if the tenant is a yearly tenant. If the tenant is a half-a-year tenant, then he needs to serve the tenant the same notices as required for a half-a-year tenant, which is 3 months. If it's a 3 months tenant, he gives the tenant a 1 month notice. Than just going to evict. You've seen landlords go carry tipper of sand and block the door. We've seen landlords go pull off the roof because they want to get the tenant off and all of that. So we're saying that if the landlord also understands that he is not authorized by law to do any of that, and some of these actions are criminal actions and they are actionable, means that you can sue your landlord, you can jail your landlord for violating your fundamental human rights. The house does not need to be yours for you to sue your landlord. If your landlord violates your fundamental human right, violates the conditions are set out in your tenancy agreement, you have every right to bring a legal action against your landlord. And even you as a tenant, you should know that when you stay beyond your rent, the landlord has a right to evict you. In fact, if you are overstayed, you become a tenant at will. If you don't pay rent after 3 months, 6 months, the landlord only has 7 days notice to give you and drag you to court. The law did not say that you should evict the tenant by force. No, you still need to go through the statutory provisions as provided by the law to evict your tenants.
I think a major problem is lack of a code of ethics that is amongst practitioners. Of course, lawyers have their code of ethics, but even lawyers need to have even far better regulation, active regulation, and there are other participants in the real estate sector, realtors, agents. Of course, Lagos State government is trying to do something about that with the new law being passed and a new regulatory body, but it's a huge task to accomplish. And so there really should be a way of bringing as many people as possible under the umbrella, and to make participants feel that they have a stake in the industry, an industry that will guarantee their source of livelihood, so that they they themselves can and self-regulate, rather than just government chasing people, which is really an Herculean task. Of course, there is also there are systemic challenges as well, particularly in the area of funding for developmental projects. We don't really have a financial sector that is keyed in on real estate development, because ordinarily we should expect our banking and financial institutions to be really keyed in. But what we have is a lot of developers self-reliant and also reliant on private investors for funding. So it makes it really difficult for many others that would actually like to get involved, get into the sector, to get into it, except they're able to organize finance privately. I'm referring to real estate development right now. In the area of landlord and tenant, many years ago, it used to be heavily litigated, but I think things are improving now, in the sense that I think the law is there to protect landlords and tenants. But
one of the key areas is creating awareness. That's to sensitize the public, particularly the investing public. One of the books dealt with due diligence, carrying out due diligence on investing in real estate. So any potential investor who does not carry out due diligence before he or she invests is at the person's peril, because you must know the type of risk you are going to. If you are a risk taker and you want to go into certain form of investment, you must carry out due diligence.
Due diligence is a continuous thing that must be done by anyone who wants to buy property, no matter your age. First of all, I'd like to make this fact clear, that if you are between the ages of 21 years and 60 years, and you are not involved in real estate, and when I want to say real estate, my own kind of real estate is real estate network marketing, part-time or full-time, you are cheating yourself. So if you must involve in real estate from 21 years to 60 years, you must be well entuned with the practice of doing due diligence before you buy or invest or partner with any company in any real estate investment. Therefore, the book that is being promoted today is a must-have for everyone that is between the age of 21 and 60.